Hello,
Hey guys!
we're here.
So Alyssa, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about quite a few things, but first I do have something prepared. One, what is your name?
My name is Jasmine Jones, aka JJ.
Hopefully you've seen the other two podcasts, but if not, I'm Alyssa Van Blaricum. I have a few questions for you, JJ.
Okay.
And then you can ask me a few questions at the end if that's
That's
that what you're
perfectly
feeling?
fine, yeah.
Okay, don't peek. These are very important. Why is the sky blue?
So I actually read a book one time, and it was like this book of random questions. And it was like, one of them was, why is the sky blue? So apparently there's some sort of chemical in the sky that, like, you know how, like, that prism where, like, you put a plane light through it and it comes out in, like, a rainbow? Well, that chemical is, like, the chemical in that glass where, like, the sun comes through and it's, like, blue.
Gotcha.
That's why, like, when it's at a dip, when, like, the sun is at, like, down here, it's, like, colorful. I don't know if that's the exact science. All I know is it has something to do with chemicals and, like, the sun.
I feel like if I asked any other person that question, they would probably be like Smurfs or like just cause
I read it in a book.
I read it in a book. It's very Jasmine. It's very Jasmine. How many frog species are there?
I have to estimate, like, I have this calendar at home. And I got it for free. I got it for free in the mail. My grandma got it for free in the mail. That was my Christmas gift from her. And on the bottom, it says, and it's basically a calendar that's advocating for the preservation of Brazilian rainforests. On the bottom, it has like a little fun fact about Brazilian rainforests each day. Like, not each day, but like each month. And the one for this month is there's more than, I don't remember if it's 2,000 or 4,000 species of frogs. Or is it butterflies? I think it's butterflies. I take it back. I don't know. This calendar is not helpful. But I want to say there's more than 2,000.
Okay.
There's more, fun fact, guys. There's more than 2,000. There's more than 2,000 species of butterflies in the Brazilian rainforests alone.
That's crazy. Again, not what I was expecting,
I
but
gotta itch my nose.
Honestly, maybe I should change my expectations.
Okay.
What tree is the most dangerous?
One time I was climbing a tree, and it was kind of like small, and because I love to climb trees, and I stepped on this one branch and it just fell out, and I fell all the way to the ground because it broke from underneath me. So I'd say the most dangerous tree is not a species of tree, it's a size of tree, especially if you're trying to climb it. And that's like the trees that look like they're strong enough to hold you, but they're really not.
Yeah, the ones that are like this and
yes, and they're like, that could hold me. And you go to climb it. I was like in the 3rd grade, so someone who looks like it could hold like a 3rd grader, a tree that looks like it could hold a 3rd grader, and that 3rd grader climbs it and they actually fall straight to the ground.
Did you get any injuries for that? That's not a question.
No, I didn't. I was fine.
That's okay, good. I think that's probably an accurate answer. A tiny tree that looks like it can hold a 3rd grader, but
can't. It actually can't.
It can't. I actually have a story that kind of reminded me of. It has nothing to do with trees, but it just reminded me of like children doing weird things and getting hurt from it. When I was like, I want to say like 8, my grandpa had this like playhouse thing outside, and it was like 2 stories. And so me and my cousin Olivia, we were climbing up the ladder, and we're just having a great time. We get upstairs and we're playing school, and then a wasp comes and like stings me directly on my head.
On your head?
Because when I was climbing the ladder, I stuck my hand through a wasp's nest. And I like freaked out because I'm a mini me and I feel any ounce of pain and it's like the end of the world. And so I was screaming, crying bloody murder for like 5 minutes, and my grandma just walked out and she was like, "What's happening? What's happening?" So I have one more question, and then that'll be it for now. How many awards has Beyonce won?
A lot. I think that she's a really good singer, and I think everyone else agrees with me. So, a lot.
Agreed.
More than I can count.
So what are we doing today?
We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we've been doing at FFA, some things that happened just today, so pretty recent.
Pretty
And
crazy.
then we're also going to be introducing our favorite CDE in the world, which will soon to be. We're gonna reveal that soon.
Yes.
What it is.
Yes, that is. I just want to say, we just figured out that JJ was going to be on the show earlier today, and I immediately knew what I wanted to talk about because we're on the same team for this competition, and we have similar obsession with it, and it is our entire life.
Yes.
It is my entire life.
Come spring, it is my entire life.
We are not the same people come spring, and that is a fact from anyone who knows us.
Transformed since freshman year. Have been transformed every spring since.
True. So today and tomorrow are going to be some pretty crazy days. Today was already a pretty crazy day.
It was
tomorrow,
a very crazy day for me.
Pretty crazy. So we're doing like workshops, and this is like, beginning year workshop. So what are your thoughts on that? What's been happening?
So I did a workshop with one of the freshman classes today, and I think it was really fun. Me and one of my fellow area officers, we worked together to do kind of like this 2-part workshop, and it was 2 main activities that we did, and they were both like teamwork based, and they were really, really fun. I especially liked my partner's. Hers was really funny. She had them like write down, she had like prompts, and she had them do like skits, and one of the skits was like sell a random object, have a dance battle or something, and it was really funny, and I think it was a really good way to kind of get the new teams, because we split them up into groups, kind of get those teams acquainted with each other and kind of like get them more familiar with some of the people that are in their class. And I also think that it was just really funny, and it was a really good way to engage a classroom full of students. And I learned so much about facilitating a workshop just in that short little span of time.
It was very fun watching Jasmine and Emily. It was. I was like sitting in the back just like having such a great time. Specifically Jasmine. So like she wanted people to answer questions for her. So she would do like this countdown of doom where if someone if no one was raising their hand, she would be 5, 4, 3, 2, you, and just like point somebody out.
I wanted to like give them time to like, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I want to answer, but if they immediately call on someone else, I'm like, oh no, can't answer. So I give them a little bit of time, like your clock is ticking. If you want to answer now. It
was so like I was getting intimidated. Like I wanted to raise my hand, and I wasn't even a part of the workshop. I was like, it was so beautiful, and I loved it so much. And we had a quote from like Emily that I thought was really great, who was doing the workshop with her. It was like the intercom buzz, and Emily just goes, "Thank you, Miss Daphne," and then like continues on as normal. It was like perfect. Was there any like maybe thing that you learned today, or
thing that I learned today? I learned kind of how like to direct like not necessarily the thought pattern, but I have this teacher, Dr. Cole, who operates one of his favorite things to do, and I never really understood until today, was basically teach us through questions. And so I'd be like, okay, what can we see? And I get questions like that, but we'd get really specific, and he'd be like, okay, what about this? Okay, what about this? And that's his way of teaching, is by asking you questions. And I never understood why when we get so specific, he would continue to ask us just those extremely specific questions when he could tell that we were struggling, we were not going to get it. And why wouldn't he just tell us the answer? But today I saw the importance of kind of like, instead of telling them what to see, showing them where to look, and kind of like directing them into that path so that they can discover it for themselves. And I think I kind of learned that through like the objective part of my workshop, where I kind of taught them what the activity, our super fun activity, was supposed to show.
I love hanging out with you so much because you just drop little bombs of wisdom all the time. Like the quote, it seems like this should be like a quote from like someone who's won like Pulitzer prizes or like the Nobel Award or whatever. You just said, instead of showing them what to see, show them where to look.
That's actually a really common quote. I just took that.
Okay.
It's on, if you go to Hobby Lobby, it's on every single thing, my teacher mug. And it's, a good teacher doesn't show a student what to see. They point them to where they're supposed to look. And so I just took that. I was like, sometimes I take other people's words and I'm like, ooh, I like that. I just pick it up. I like that.
I take back every good thing I've said about you because that was probably
No,
the
that was
biggest betrayal that you've ever done.
No, that was the only quote that I've like picked up. All the rest, all the ones that you talked about earlier today, like those were all genuine.
Do not lie to me.
I didn't lie to you. I
Again.
told you as soon as you said that, I was like, actually, it's not my words. I'm not
Sure.
that smart.
Okay. You're only doing that because this is filmed and people will call you out on it. That's my suspicion. And then tomorrow, I know, going back to business at hand. Tomorrow we have something really, really cool. We're gonna do a workshop for eighth graders.
For middle
Eighth
school.
graders.
Eighth graders. Yeah.
Eighth graders.
A small group of eighth graders. So really excited. I'm excited to get, because our workshop today was with such a big group. I'm really excited to see how it is to facilitate a workshop with a much smaller group. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Today we had we had to kind of encourage them a lot to answer questions because there were so many people. Are the questions going to be better or worse in a small group? You know, is it going to matter the age? Because they're only a year apart. But I feel like it's going to be a really big difference when we go and we see them doing the workshop, like how they act, kind of how they respond to some of the stuff that we do. I think it's going to be really insightful.
Especially since like we did it with like high schoolers who go to the same school as us, who see us every day, who eat lunch with us. And so doing it with eighth graders is going to be completely different. The atmosphere of middle school. Yeah, the atmosphere of middle school and high school is super different. And I'm also excited to see like the dynamics. Like you don't know if they're going to be more shy to answer questions or if they're going to be more comfortable since they know everybody there. So it's going to be really interesting to see, and I'm excited about that.
I think another thing that I thought about while you were talking is like, because it's such a small group of kids, like today we did try to break them up, but it was inevitable that like friend groups would end up with each other. And so like they would kind of group off into their friend groups within those groups. And I think having a much smaller group will kind of like force them to work together and become friends.
Force.
But no, I really like it. Like I really love people who are willing to branch out and kind of like bring other people into their little circle. Like I feel like it's very nice of them.
It's a really great like characteristic to have.
Yeah, it's a really good trait.
Speaking of big events, we had our first meeting today. What? And I think it went pretty well. I think we did an absolutely great job. Not to pat myself on the back, but
I think our team did a really good job. I didn't think I really didn't think it was going to go that smoothly, especially when we were kind of like, we were taking little transitions. And at first it was a little bit like rusty, but like once we got the hang of it, it was like, okay, next person go up, and it was just kind of like in and out, in and out, in and out. That was really cool.
It was nice. And I feel like even though there's like a ton of people in there, we didn't really have a problem with like talking or people not paying attention, which is it's really good to see.
It was really nice to have like that engagement.
Yeah. Also, Allison Wren's slideshow was it was beautiful.
It was a 10 out of 10.
It was like
it was great.
It was God's gift to this earth.
It was God's gift to this earth.
Last night, she sent it to me at like 10:30ish. I clicked it open and I just like was awestruck. Like I was just scrolling through it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I could not have expected any better. That was perfect.
Like she did the for mine was like the freshman freak out, and she had like the little person arrow freshman, and then for the car show she had like a car driving across the screen. It was just little details that like that really made it pop. It's like hee.
It was very fun.
Hee details.
And then for mine, she might have made fun of my height a little bit, which I won't. I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about that. So now what we've all been waiting for.
The moment.
Shaken. Just shaken about it.
So what CDE are we going to talk about, Alyssa?
Nursery. Woo! Oh my gosh. I've like literally this entire time I've just been waiting to talk about it. And I'm gonna get situated.
Spill the tea. Spill the nursery tea.
I'm so excited. This year, I'm so hoping we get first. It's been both of our dreams since freshman year. And I don't even care.
It has been both of our dreams since freshman year.
I don't care if I'm also going to do the extemporaneous speaking LD. I don't care if I get first in that. I want to get first in nursery, and that is it.
Yes.
That is my dream. That is my hope. It's what I dream about every night. It's what I long for. I need plants.
Yes. And I think we have some new people to the team this year. And I think we've already started to develop a plan, guys. It's September. We planned this in August. We've already have like a training plan set out of what we're gonna do every day and what it's gonna look like. So we are in it to win it. Like we're gonna do good.
Mm-hmm. Me and Jasmine, we were like locked in that room. Not locked. We were just in that room.
We shut ourselves in that room.
We locked ourselves in that room. And I don't know who turned to who, but we went, we're going to figure out how we're going to study today. Yeah.
We're self-disciplined.
Yes. This is our plan. This is our plan for each day. This is our plan for each month. This is what we're doing to win. We need this.
If you've ever watched like those documentaries about those really strict boarding schools that like focus on one sport and they're like rigorous, like same thing with us, but with nursery and landscaping, which is better.
Truly, it is. It is better. It is. And I just, since I'm in the nursery mood, my favorite plant to identify definitely has to be a plantain lily or a heavenly bamboo.
Heavenly bamboos are so fun to identify, and they come in so many different colors, and they're so like cute and petite. Like I love heavenly bamboo.
Least favorite to identify. It feels like such an award when I didn't identify this, but I hate it. Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtles come in so many different forms. Like you have like completely different colors. Then you have like the ones where the leaves are like, and then you have the ones that are like, and the other ones are like, And so crepe myrtles are just so like, there's so many versions of the crepe myrtle that it's like, it kind of throws you off a little bit. Because if I ever look at like a plant and I'm like, what is that? In my mind, in the back of my head, I'm like,
crepe myrtle.
Totally crepe myrtle. Speaking of in the back of my mind, that's a really hard plant to identify. Coleus. Never thought that would be a plant that I would have trouble identifying. Let me tell you, normally I can identify it every time. First try. Come state competition, that thing, you know how Coleus has like the little fuzzy stuff on it? Maybe you don't, but it does. And we get to state. Mind you, you cannot like touch the plants or anything. Like it's strictly visual. I get there and there's weird looking plant. And I'm like, dude, I have never seen something of the like in my life. And I could not tell it had the little fuzzies on it, along with the fact that Coleus is usually has some sort of pink or some sort of purple. And so it's really easy to identify by the color. And Mr. Riley is going to me for this. But I was like, doesn't have any color on it. He has pounded into our heads that
don't judge by color.
Color sucks. And I should have listened more closely. And I think if I would have had any inkling that it was a Coleus, I probably would have been like, you know what? Color sucks. But in my mind, I was like, there's no way on earth that is a Coleus. That's some sort of weird plant that is just a leaf. And so, again, it was just green like a normal leaf. It looked like a normal leaf. Could not see the fuzzies. And I remember just putting down something random. Who knows? I may have put down crepe myrtle. I probably didn't. I didn't do that, but I did. I was really confused about, and right after the competition ended, the guy went around and he was like, this is a this, this is a this, this is a this. When he came to this, I was listening. I was all ears. And he goes, it's a Coleus. And I was like, it's a what? On what planet?
How?
On what planet? I thought this was supposed to be easy to identify. It was not. Coleus is supposed to be one of those easy plants that you can just, Coleus. It was not. Absolutely not.
I would like to acknowledge that, yes, I understand only nursery people will probably enjoy this episode. I would also like to acknowledge that this is me and Jasmine's episode.
Yes, it's
our episode. And we want to talk about nursery. This is our only time. You are forced to listen.
No one else lets us rant about this.
This camera cannot move. You're here.
We're both on the not the poultry, but the dairy cattle evaluation team.
Don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second.
Wait, and on every ride down to we're always like,
nursery.
Azalea.
Plant.
Chinese wisteria. Plant. Whatever. And our team gets so mad at us because they're like, quit naming plants on the ride.
This is me and Jasmine, Tom.
Literally. You know
Calm
how
down.
I have this one teacher who's always like, "Yeah, you're on me time, like you're on my time. Let's call them John. You're on John time," and I'm like, "You're on John time. Y'all are on Jasmine and Alyssa time.
That is true.
We're
But
gonna talk about nursery."
going back to that coleus, and then we'll never talk about it again. I promise. We'll never talk about it again. I was pretty confident in the plan ID. I felt like I was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
That was like my second to last one. I get to it, and truthfully, I almost started like crying
What is it?
because I felt like I just completely forgot about an entire plant on the contest because it did not.
It looked like it did not resemble any plant on our list
It was outrageous.
in any shape or form.
I like left. I went up to one of my teammates and I remember being like, okay, I'm about to tell them that I've disappointed everybody because I just completely forgot about a plant. And as soon as I walk up to her, she goes, "What was that green thing?" And I was like, "What was that green thing?" But back to dairy cattle. We're both on dairy cattle, and it's a competition that is near and dear to our hearts in that we don't enjoy it, but we love it, but we don't enjoy it. And the person behind the camera is kind of telling us to rush it up a little bit. He's trying to ruin all of our fun and all of our nursery
We're trying
and
to
dairy
entertain you guys with our awesome nursery. You know what? Get on to him.
Get on to him.
Don't get mad at us.
Don't get mad
Don't
at
get
us.
mad at us.
I know you want to listen to this.
Someone be like, "We want the podcast to be longer." We will do so gladly.
Someone, please, and I know this is not going to happen because I know we're truthfully just entertaining ourselves with this.
Yeah.
Please tell us to talk about nursery more.
Yes.
We will cry
Can you
in
write a
tears of
comment on
joy.
the live?
Don't know.
Okay, if you can comment. We want the podcast to be longer, and we want there to be more nursery.
I would love to talk about the different
will-
types of leaves, the different types of leaf arrangements. I would love to talk about every single plant and just sit here,
We will
keep you for an
educate
hour.
guys.
This could be a little thing that
Plant
teachers,
science.
Yeah.
Science 101.
ag teachers show their up and coming
Literally.
nursery teams.
Have our little slideshow. We can have like a miniature TV like this big or something, and have like, okay, guys, so this is a azalea, and you can see because of this, and this.
Jasmine, do you have any questions for me, possibly?
Questions for you. Yes. I'm going to ask these, and then I'm going to ask my question that I came up with my own brain that I think is really important. Okay, so what is Taylor Swift's middle name?
I know all the Swifties are going to be very mad at me.
I thought you were a Swiftie.
I am a Swiftie. I am. And so I'm disappointing everybody. I feel like I should just like get rid of my Taylor Swift cardboard cutout in my room, like burn it.
She has a big one, a life-size one.
I feel like I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The best, maybe?
We're moving on. Failure. What is the cutest animal?
Cat. Next question.
How many storms are on Jupiter?
23. Next question. I know that one.
You know that one?
No, I don't.
Okay, never mind. How big is the biggest link chain in the world?
The link between me and Jasmine right now.
It's pretty big. Like if you're talking about like the size of the link, like not the length, but like the size of the link
The
itself.
strength.
Like the strength, yeah.
Top tier.
What bird can fly the highest?
My heart, every time it flutters when I see you.
I knew it. Me too. Actually, I think my heart flies like higher. It's gonna meet yours and then go a
Stop it,
little
Jasmine.
bit higher because I just
Stop
love you
it.
so much.
Stop it.
Okay, and then my final personal question to you. How do you feel about Arby's? I'm only asking because someone that I know, his family really loves Arby's a lot, and I think it is the most mid restaurant on planet Earth.
For context to this question, I'm not gonna tell the full thing. Jasmine was hanging out with somebody, and like he just goes up to her and goes, "I have to ask
a really
you."
serious question to ask you, and I was kind of anticipating a certain question, and I was like, "Sure, go ahead." And he was like, "How do you feel about Arby's?" And I was like, "That's not a serious question. That's not what I was looking for."
I actually really like Arby's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. My question for you, and just stick with me, kind of bear with me. I've been asking this a few times to a few people this week. It's just on my mind. let's say you're heating up leftovers.
Okay.
And like you have to take the leftovers out with your fork. And I'm not talking about steak leftovers. I'm talking about like stuff that has like residue. Stuff that will have residue on the fork. So you're taking it out of the little Tupperware, put it on your plate, put the plate in the microwave. Obviously you have the fork and you have its cold residue on there. Do you A, lick it off, B, wash it off in the sink, or C, whenever you get your hot leftovers out, mix it in?
Okay, so I've actually, not knowing, I've actually thought about this before. Every time I heat up leftovers, because I have leftovers a lot. My thing is just get a whole new fork, because that fork is now tainted with that cold, nasty residue. Whatever you do, do not lick it off. If you lick it off, you're a monster. If you wash it off, okay. If you stir it in, goodbye. Goodbye. Speaking of goodbye, I think we better.
One quick thing I have to say about that question. Sorry, guys. Just stay here for a little bit longer. You said if they do this, they're a monster. Every single time I've asked someone that question, they say a different one. If you do this, you're a monster. If you wash it off, you're a monster because that makes you a clean freak. If you lick it, you're a monster because that makes you dirty.
Well,
if you
you're
mix
a monster
it in,
if you lick it off.
You're a monster because that makes it mix in with the food or something like that.
Especially if it's like a food that can only be eaten warm.
Mm-hmm,
I can't think of a specific example right now because my brain doesn't work. But like, you know, those foods that you only eat warm, and you lick it off, they're cold.
Gross. Very gross. So
what should our weird outro be?
What if we kind of went behind the scenes a little bit and showed you guys something a little crazy? And it's probably not going to be as cool as I think.
Hold on, I gotta reach.
Okay, so we'll say goodbye, turn the lights off, and then hopefully the people will cut it off or it's going to be really awkward.
Okay, ready?
3, 2, 1. Goodbye.